first youth apprentice who came out of Beaver Dam High School. And I'd like to say that we were doing youth apprenticeships before it was kind of cool. So there's a theme here. 2006, we had that first YA. 2014, Gary mentioned we won the state or manufacturer of the year for the state of Wisconsin for workforce development. That was related to the work we've done within the schools. And then in 2015, that top picture there, that was a manufacturing month event that we hosted at EK that at the time had Tony Evers, because he was the state superintendent of schools, along with a lot of other dignitaries, the state head of the technical colleges and a few other folks. I don't remember all the names, but and then we've been mentioned twice in the State of Education speech that the state superintendent puts on every year, and one of those quotes is down there, related to a YA that we had who happened to be a female welder, and Tony Evers at the time actually came to EK and shot some videos with her. So just wanted to explain in a little bit more depth our belief in providing opportunities to high school students in the form of YAs. We don't necessarily do that to get employees ourselves, although that's a really nice result at times. Our success rate with keeping YAs turning into full-time employees hasn't been great over the years, but we're turning that corner. So this last year we had 8 YAs on the EK team, and I think we hired 5 on. That was definitely by far the biggest year we've ever had there. So we're strong believers in kind of the greater good when it comes to that. It's just introducing kids to careers in manufacturing, whether that's at EK or Fall River or Schumann or GD Roberts or any other company. It's about providing that spark to those students and showing them that there's opportunities out there and you have choices then, right? So just wanted to mention that.
Okay, and then there was one other thing, that first one in 2006 is still with us today.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, he's still with us today. We're trying to get him into management. He says, I'm happy doing machining. He says, I don't want to do management. He said, maybe when I get a little bit older. I said, okay, we'll keep your name in the hat, but yeah, so that's really something to think about, giving the kids the opportunity, whether they stay with us or not, whether they go some other place, get their hands involved in what they think they might want to do, whether it's with us or with Schumann's or anybody else in the business, any other business out there. I mean, the hospitals, there is a ton of good paying jobs and benefits, but you have to show up for work and you have to follow through. And we don't have a lot of that major problem because we're very fussy when we hire somebody. I'll be honest about it, because it just costs us a fortune to train people, and we do a lot of training constantly. Thank you, Steve, for that input. So in 2020, we rebranded our company to EK. We dropped the machine out of it because we wanted to, as we say, EK moving forward. And everybody, when you look at it, if it says machine, you're thinking, okay, they machine parts. We fabricate more parts. Our fabrication, what we call our fabrication, is probably about 85%, and about 15% is machine. So it was a big switch for what we have been doing. Like I said earlier, most of our parts up for the first 20, 30 years, you make a part and I can hold it in my hands. So when you're taking a business, and there's nothing wrong with using the word making a profit, because if you don't make a profit, you're going to be out of business. So when you look at that, you take a look, if I'm making this part for $20 and I get 10%, okay, I get $2. If I do this part over here, a generator, I get 200,000. If I get 10%, common sense is, you know what you really want to go for, and you keep moving forward. And again, like I say, the quality of the delivery is what gets us. When Mount Pleasant up by Milwaukee was coming in, they said they wanted the EK enclosure. No matter which company got it, it was gonna have to be an EK enclosure. That's the respect that we have built out there with all of our customers, whether it's enclosures, whatever it is, we have that respect. So, 2020, May 1st, we had a ding-dong bell. I had a heart attack. Didn't even know I had it. I drove down to the hospital because I had a little pain in my stomach, or my chest. And I got in the hospital, and there were nurses and doctors flying around. I said, "What's going on?" He had a heart attack. I what? I didn't even know I had a heart attack. You know, I walked my dog 3 miles a day. I had done that. Had breakfast. Went over and helped my buddy with his house, and then I went and got the mail, and that's when I had it. And Zippo, that's when Steve stepped up. He took over. He was pretty much running the shop. I'll say that. You know, I would say I'd run it, but he was running it. So he took over. I was out probably for about 6 months. I had some major complications, but that was immaterial. But as I got back, I said to Steve one day, I said, "Steve, I think you ought to just take over. You know, you had gone to work, you took over, just like I wasn't there." And I said, "It's yours, take it." So from that day, like I said, Steve's been with us now 21 years, does a great job for me. I can't say enough for him and his teams and all the things that he's involved in doing and taking care, you know, and I can't appreciate it any more than having a good person that I can feel comfortable with and back is. So you always want to go to work and make sure you find your weakest link, get rid of it, and you take the good links and you move them forward. And that's what we do. We try to promote within our business people, if they're willing to step up, if they want to do that job and they're capable, we're going to move them up. We move probably, we'll put it that way. We move quite a few.
We like to promote from within.
Yeah. So anyway, got over that. Then the next thing that we ended up doing is in 24, we decided that we needed to have more capacity because customers are, like Steve said, we were doing 1 and 2, 1 and 3. Now they're getting up to 50 to 100 and even bigger numbers at the time. And I said, you know, we just need to have more area. So in 24, we opened up our third plant. We put in 66,000 square feet. And this time we went to work and we put in 100-ton cranes, 60-ton cranes, and 2-ton cranes, all in a bay, 80 foot wide, 40 feet underneath of our hook. So what we do when we do these units, we build the tank in plant 1 or plant 2, weld them up, paint them outside, then they come back in, and we assemble them now in plant 3 and do the electrical and everything. So when we get done, we bring the tank in, bring the generator in, and then we got the enclosure that's put together, electrically wired, and all the components put in. Then we lift this up just like a tin can over top, bring it back down, set it on the tank, bolt it together, and finish the testing on it or whatever we have to do, and then we ship them from there. So that's what we need to do. So that was in 24, and we made a test station, and again, we took another 10.5 acres of land. So after we did that, I said, you know, we have 10 more acres on next to us, guys, you know. I said, let's buy that before somebody else gets it, because they want to put up another building. No, they said you won't need it. I said, we're going to buy it. So at that point, we're up to about 40-some acres here in Fall River. You know, so we ended up building a 66,000 square foot building, and with that, we put out a new test station, And one of the things that we did for the customers, because the customers come in when they're on a test station, that's where they gotta take out, we gotta put them outside, they will fire them up for 8 hours, 24 hours, whatever it is. The Cummings people or the CAT people come in and do that. When we did this plant, one more thing we did is keep the customer happy. We made a unit inside of our building with windows where they could go to work and do their testing and do all their stuff in the building and look out the window and didn't have to go out in the cold and things like that. So, you know, it's one more thing we did for our customers to keep everybody happy.
What I would add there with that testing is, you know, our major customers these days, as Gary mentioned, are Amazon and Google and Meta or Facebook and Microsoft. I always find it fascinating that, you know, on some of these test days that he's talking about, that 20 or 25 representatives from those worldwide tech companies all converge on little bitty Fall River. And I just always find that fascinating. And, you know, you would think that they were come in suits and all that, and generally speaking, it's jeans and t-shirts, which fits our culture really well. And then, you know, they do their work and they leave. But the biggest tech companies in the world are, you know, coming right to Fall River to test the product that we have a hand in building. So.
Okay, so that was 24. So in 25, we ended up, well, before that, I gotta go back and say this one thing here. In 2001, or 2021, we bought the Jensen property, which was a rat hole for the Fall River area. And I said, we'll buy it, but we paid more for that cotton picking land than what the hell Microsoft or any of these other people paid for land, you know? He had us over the barrel is what we call it. But it cleaned up the area for Fall River, and we knew we were gonna do an addition. And so in 25, we're just about done. We added 75,000 square feet more to our plant number 1. In this plant structure, we have now air conditioned a 2,000 square foot building, 200,000 square foot building. There's 6 big air conditioners on top of the roof that weigh about 55,000 pounds each. You know, but we can air condition a whole building, and that's what we do. Actually, building number 3, when we did, that's air conditioned also. 2 is a welding area. We're working on that, but that's going to be a tough one to do. So in the 75,000 square feet, we were only going to do 40, but Steve and I decided, well, we build 40 now, then we got another 35 to build. I said, let's just build it all now and be done with it, and then that way we've got one headache out of the way, and we have capacity. Capacity is a big key word today in the business and the delivery. So with that, we ended up putting in the 75,000 square feet. We're going to use about a third of the building on a new piece of equipment. I don't know, yeah. This new piece of equipment here takes up about a third of that building. There's 6 pieces of equipment in that automation system. That system will build the panels. As you see these panels, that's our enclosure panel. We will build that in there automatically. We will load what we call the tower, which is this large part here. We load the tower. It goes all the way through here, it gets punched, it gets sheared, it gets rotated, it gets moved, comes back over, it gets paneled in, comes off the end, untouched by a human hand. That's completely automatic. It's going to be a great asset. We should have it. I'm thinking up by
2 weeks.
2 weeks. Thanksgiving is our goal. So that is doing it. You can see the air conditioning, the big ductwork in there. And then the next project that Steve has worked on, and that project there was over a year project, year just to get it to where it is, to get it going. This project here is one of our tanks. These are what we call ALM arms. They pick up the tank after we tack it, after we tack it together, it rotates so we can lift it up, rotate it so that the welders can be in the best position as possible. We have five units of those. We have 2 more coming, and on the next 2 coming in, there will be these 2 robots will weld 85% of that tank without a human person welding it. That's automation. Automation, people say, yeah, you're not getting rid of people. Hell no. I gotta have more people to load that. I gotta have people to get that out of there. We don't get rid of people. We hire more people. So anybody tells you automation gets rid of it, it gets rid of the old, why not do it with a robot and use that brain for somebody else to go forward and to learn something? So with that, that ain't the end of this story yet. So in 2025, we have to build, do we have a platinum one, Steve? Our platinum?
Yeah, it's right there.
Yeah. This is Microsoft. These are our units.
That's
What
down
do we
in
got in here?
Racine, or Colonel Racine, West Prairie.
Yeah. So this is what we call a platinum here. That's the exhaust system that they do now because of tiers and tier 1, tier 4, whatever they call it, I don't know. But anyway, you can see a better picture of it there. That unit is as much as anywhere from 20, I think we've got some hundreds, don't we? 80s? We got 80 feet. This is 80 feet in the air. This is what we were getting in trouble. We didn't have capacity, we didn't have the room to do it. So Steve and the group found a building in Madison. So we bought 140,000 square foot in Madison. The old Weir Spur building over on Stoughton Road. It was ideal. There's 6 bays that are 50 feet wide by 300 feet long, and each one had 2 20-ton cranes in it, which we need to overturn the platinums. We've also gone to work in that building. That's one of the projects we're going to do. But also, we needed to sandblast and paint. We now have a sandblast and paint, the second biggest unit in the state of Wisconsin. It's 25 feet high, 24 feet long, wide, and 74 feet long.
72, I think. But yeah.
It's a huge one. So we will be able to then now build that product over there. Plus we have 2 or 3 other products that we're going to be moving into to build in the Madison area. So when we get done building that, then we will make the panels back in our plant 1, ship them over to Madison. They'll assemble them, and then we'll ship them from Madison to the job site. We have our own truck. We have all that equipment. I got a forklift that takes 75,000 pounds to lift. It's just been a great ride, and I love what I do. Steve loves what he does, and he does what he wants to do anyway. But anyway, it's just been a great ride, and every day I walk through that plant, it takes me, if you wanted to ever tour the plants, it'd take you almost a day to get through all 4 plants, anymore today, But I walk through there and I just say, God, were we ever lucky to get through 10 recessions? We have, like I say, we will have 519,000 square feet, plus we'll add another 60,000 on the plant 3 because we need more assembly area. It's just, the opportunities. And give you an example, we are sold out in 26 and 27 and working on 28. How many companies have that opportunity? But again, it's all because of our quality and our delivery and our people. Like I say, I got the best team I've ever seen in our growing years of history. So with that, I can't say anything else more. We do a lot of charity work. We do a lot of donations to different groups, different stuff. We're big on that. So, if somebody has a need, you can come to us. long as it's decent, we'll work with you. We'll try to help you out. That's what it's about. Give back to the community. We do it not only for the Fall River area, we do it for the Columbus. We've got people in Beaver Dam, we got people in Waupun, we got people in Montello. We give all these donations, to help them out, because they're giving us their people. So we appreciate it, and that's one way we like to give back. So, Steve, you want to close it?
Sure, thank you. First off, I want to just say it's far easier to do building projects in Fall River than it is in Madison. We're learning some hard lessons down there, so. It was, thank you to the Columbus Historical Society for putting this on tonight. It was fascinating for me to learn about some of our neighbors, Fall River Foundry and Schumann, and your teams as well, and the history behind how you guys became the organizations you are. So thank you for presenting.
Couple of questions. What does EK stand for?
Oh, I was gonna I had that in my notes here, but I bypassed it. Okay. Many years ago when I was signaling and working, I had met a guy by the name of Warren Canal. And so him and I, we had a place together, and we had started diddling in real estate. We had a bunch of apartments in the Madison area, rentals, and so when I decided to start doing the little machining on the side, I said, well, I'm going to take Eartham and I'm going to take Kanab. So that's where the EK comes from. After I moved out here in 73, Warren, he didn't really work with me in it. He just had the money in it. And he wanted to buy a tavern out there, Cross Plains, Old Tubby and Millie's. So he says, can you buy me out? He says, I'm going to buy the tavern. I said, sure, I'll do that. So that's where the EK comes from.
Then the other question is it true that you started Steve out at 95 cents an hour?
No, but I can tell you one other one when you talk about the money. I showed my kids this. When I worked at Gish Hall, and top wage was a tool maker, and a tool maker was the top end of any manufacturing area. In 1968, when we did our contract over there, that was $2.16 an hour. When I came out here, how many would know what the price of gas was in 1970?
About 90 cents. About 90 cents.
Well, we had gas wars, I know, when I went to Milwaukee, I
You
bought
got
it
it
for
right.
18
You got
cents a
it.
gallon.
But what was the gas? It was 25 cents a
20
gallon for
something.
gas, and there was gas wars going on in 1970 yet.
Oh.
You got a free set of glasses.
And you had somebody to wash your windshield for you too. Is there any other questions that we might be able to answer? If not, again, go ahead, Mike.
I have one question for all three. How many people are working at each one of these different places? How many employees do you have?
240.